Good morning. It is September 4th in the morning. Oh dear. I wanted to shoot a picture of this beautiful female zucchini flower while the bee pollinated it with pollen, and I scared away the bee. Oh well, hopefully it'll come back. So anyway, here is a female zucchini flower, and zucchinis have male and female flowers, as I mentioned before, and only the female flowers will actually turn into fruit. So it's a good idea to look at your plants and see what kind of flowers you have, and if you have lots of male flowers, that means you're not going to get any fruit. I'm not sure there's much you can do about it. The flowers kind of pop up at different times depending on how much daylight they get, the temperature, and things like that. Initially in the season, a zucchini plant will produce lots of male flowers, and later on it'll produce female flowers. And that's why we planted a bunch of zucchini plants, and even though some of them are small and they're only producing male flowers, our larger plants are producing female flowers. So there's a female flower, and let's move on. Oops. Okay, so here's another view of our zucchini patch. And we're walking through the back of the garden now on the north side. Here's a cabbage and some small tomato plants, and this is our Kentucky Wonder green bean plant. And let me get a better shot of that. As you can see, this is the back side. It's very healthy. I'm really kind of surprised that there are so many leaves and flowers on the back side as well as the front side, because the back side is facing to the north. And here are all the green beans that I picked off this plant. And we have some more zucchini over here. These were planted back in July, and they're doing really well. We've gotten some fruit off of them, and more green bean plants. And here's our carrot patch, which you have seen before, but I'm just showing this here because I wanted to mention something. Like I said before, carrots are a little tricky. We've had some pretty good luck with carrots. One thing you do not want to do with your carrots is don't use heavy nitrogen fertilizer on your carrots. They really don't need highly fertilized soil. They like loose soil, but they don't need really high nitrogen soil. Here we have some cabbages, and the cabbages like nitrogen in their soil, but the carrots will actually split if you put nitrogen in the soil, and I don't think the nitrogen makes them grow any better. So here we have our monster tomato patch, and I wanted to talk about a few things with regards to the tomato patch here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can have a better view of it. This tomato patch here is in the same location that the tomato patch that we had last year was. There's some common knowledge among gardeners that you should rotate your vegetables, and that's true for every single vegetable that I know of, with one exception, and that is tomatoes. We had a huge tomato patch here last summer, and this summer we put the tomatoes in the same spot, and they're loving it. So obviously it doesn't really hurt to put your tomatoes in the same spot. I think the rule of thumb is with tomatoes is keep planting them in the same spot. If they show signs of disease, or if the insects just start eating them like crazy, then maybe you want to, well, actually you should probably move them to another spot. Or if you have a really bad infestation, maybe you need to stop growing tomatoes for 1 year. So I've been picking tomatoes this morning, and here's our tomatoes. There are 2 types of heirloom tomatoes that I really enjoy. Arkansas Traveler pink tomatoes, and a new tomato variety that I tried this summer is called Cherokee purple tomato. And we don't have a lot of those plants, but the tomatoes that we have gotten have just been incredibly delicious. They've been so good. So there's lots of tomato varieties out there. For gardeners, if you're adventurous, you can try the heirloom varieties, and you might be really surprised, because just because something isn't grown by standard commercial agriculture corporations doesn't mean that it's not really good, because the tomatoes that we buy at the store are typically the ones that have a long shelf life. They're not really the most tasty tomatoes. So here, these are some Arkansas Traveler pink tomatoes, and they are really delicious. And here we have some basil.